Welcome back to Big Content. We had a 1 week hiatus, which is fine because week one of the NFL season is just jam-packed with stuff, getting ready for it. Needed to take a break. There's just more important things in life than sitting here and podcasting with you.
You're killing my vibe. Last week you shut down the pod. Now you're like,
I shut down the pod, brother. You're in Baltimore. You're in Kansas City. You're in Florida. You're in Texas.
I said I would make it work.
All right, enough. We're here. Be present.
He's just not taking responsibility.
Stop living in the past. Stop living in the future.
This man went from not working for the past 6 months to I'm so booked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What are you doing Thursday, Friday?
You can't even.
What are you doing Thursday, Friday?
What do we do? I relax. No, we film. We have like 7 other things to film.
Okay.
We got thumbnails to make.
But what are you so busy with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Do
you want to see my calendar?
No, I believe you. I'm just saying, what is the differentiation?
You just. Because everything's like front loaded for me personally, at least.
Because you're in the fantasy industry, so like games end Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Damn. Took you a while to realize where I am.
Well, you were out of the fantasy industry for a little,
but I'm back. Never felt more. This is the first time I've actually enjoyed the start of football season.
I know. This is what I'm saying. It's rejuvenating.
Hated it.
You can't let the viewership though get to your head. You know. Like, you need to come with that same energy, the same passion, even if next week's waiver wire video does 100 views.
In what world? That had nothing to do with it. Look at our waiver wire week 1 last year. It's better than this one. Bigger, better, faster, stronger, more. That's our slogan. We're actually changing.
That's Justice Hill's slogan.
Dude, I didn't realize that Justice Hill, I totally forgot he tore his Achilles last summer.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I was like excited about him this year because I have him on a couple of dynasty leagues.
No, it's good. Whenever you can get a player who has 8 carries for 9 yards, just lock in on the fact he had 2 touchdowns from the goal line. And I'm sure that 5'6", 180-pound Justice Hill is going to be the Ravens' goal line back going forward. So make sure you scoop him. You don't have to watch Nick's video. Give him an extra.
So you're on Gus?
Yeah.
You're on Gus.
Yeah.
You're on Gus, who hasn't caught a pass since 2020.
I'm on Gus over Justice.
Who hasn't caught a pass since 2020.
I don't think there's a running back to own for the Ravens.
Probably not, but it's not going to be because of Gus Edwards.
Sure. You're kind of the media by being like, you're on Gus, when it's not really what I said.
Every single person in fantasy is on Gus. I'm the only person anti-Gus.
Sure. I saw your tweet. He hasn't caught a pass. Maybe he's a primetime player, though. Playoff passes he caught.
He caught 1 playoff pass last year, which is what fucked up my tweet a little bit. You know, I had to throw the regular season part in there.
So, anyways, because you guys can get your fantasy advice from Nick, we don't have to cover that. But if you want a little tidbit of information, yes, I would not be on Justice. I wouldn't be on Gus. I wouldn't be on Melvin Gordon. I think there could be a move that the Ravens make. If you're in the deepest sleeper dynasty league of all time, I would pick up Keaton Mitchell. I think when he comes back from injury, he's quick, he's young. They'll beat him into the ground. So I don't know. He's the most intriguing now.
Right,
but I think Gus will be good.
170-pound Keaton Mitchell. Or did I overstate that? Actually, is he in the 150s?
He's fast though. In half PPR though, Gus is probably the pick over Justice.
I have Justice over Gus, but I also made that claim forgetting that he tore his Achilles last summer.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, even all preseason, like in the preseason games, as soon as Dobbins was off the field, it was Justice Hill over Gus Edwards.
He's looked better.
He was playing over him. I just think he's not the younger Gus. He's not like 25-year-old Gus.
No, but Gus in this office, he'll get the bulk share of the carries.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think you're right that it probably doesn't matter who's actually.
It's like owning a Chiefs receiver. Like I tried telling people, just because Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback doesn't mean you want Kadarius Toney or Sky Moore.
No worries about Baltimore after just week 1 in general?
No.
Okay. You want to start the show? Or no?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Oh,
I forgot that I hit the welcome bike already. This felt like all shit that should be at the end of the episode.
Well, it bridges off the first topic, which is creating content for the viewer. So Nick and BDGE posted a video, their waiver wire video, and I did not watch because I don't play fantasy football. I went through the comment section, and I saw that you tested out a new format. You told me after the fact that you clearly made, I guess, an effort at the beginning of the video to be like, here's a new format. Let me know if you guys like it. And the comments seem to be a resounding yes. Now, you can't always trust the comments, but I would assume AVD and the click-through and 100,000 views in 24 hours that it was successful. So I think one thing that's just intriguing to talk about as we talk about big content is thinking about how to make the video for the viewer. And it's something we always talk about, but give me your reasoning and how you came up with that idea.
So two-factor. This one in particular was kind of a perfect storm for me because this was actually the content I wanted to make, and I was just hoping that they liked it. It's also a little bit easier for me, and I so strongly dislike making the regular type of waiver wire content out there that's like, pick your 10 favorite guys, talk about them, talk why you like them. This format allowed me to be more creative and flexible and allow me to have more of a conversation and live streaming, free-flowing style of content, which I think my best type of content for sure is when I'm just individual and by myself. But I'm not actually sure if I'm better live streaming or being prepared. I think I'm like relatively.
Was that live streamed?
It wasn't live streamed,
Right, okay.
But there was almost no editing inside of it. But it felt live streaming because I was like, you can't plan for what you're just about to see on the screen and then feel like what you're going to talk about. So for me, it felt like what I would be doing on a live stream. And a lot of times I get kind of like locked in when I'm on live streams. So I'm like, I'm good to go for like 30, 40 minutes. Whereas more prepared stuff, I come in with stats, and on like Monday mornings for in season, I probably take in almost like a week's worth of content that I would in the summer just between like Sunday night and like Monday morning at noon. So I have a lot of stuff just like packed into my head that I can shoot off and make good content with it. This was a format that I had not seen done on YouTube in the fantasy space. Everyone does the same thing where they just like talk about the guys that they want. So I was like, okay, maybe this will be a cool switch up. I also think the Sleeper platform does a great job of like, I mean, you want to talk about catering to your audience. They continue to just include stats and numbers like snap counts. Like what platform out there, ESPN, Yahoo, is like, here are the percentage of snap counts that this guy had. Nobody, but they hear the fantasy industry taking that type of number into more and more analysis. So they started putting it. They have snap counts. They have the schedules going forward. They have all this type of stuff that I'm like, this is stuff I'm going to talk about anyways. This is stuff I'm going to be putting into my research.
Nice that you can just show it right on
the screen. It's laid out there for me. Yeah. So I want to do experiment with this, but this is also something I've been way more conscious of. When I started making content, it was for me and like it was for other people, but the content I was making was for me to like get it out. And it was like, if I don't like doing it, I'm not going to do it. I don't care whether or not you actually like it. Like, hopefully it helps other people. I'm doing it for other people. But if you don't like it, then I'm just not your cup of tea. Where now, over the last year or 2 years, you've probably seen, I've separated like my personal brand from BDGE a little bit more, where it's like, if I have shit that I want to express, I'll do it on my personal stuff. Whereas BDGE, now that
this is your job.
Right. Like, now that I'm responsible for other people in the office and like scaling this thing correctly, I'm now like, this is what's best for a sports media business. If customers or the audience wants this thing, why is Nick battling back against that? Because he can do what he wants elsewhere. So that's kind of been my mindset the last like year or so.
And I think when you're creating content that you're thinking about the viewer, right? And you would be a viewer. Whenever you're creating a piece of content, you actually got to think about what I want to view this, right? And so if you segmented, if we didn't say what it was, essentially how you separated it was by player. How is that different than what everyone else does? Like what would you say you did specifically that was different?
Well, I think having the stuff on the screen and going through it as if you were going through it if you're actually in a fantasy football league, where I'm looking at it and I'm saying like, oh, okay, I went player by player, but there was no rhyme or reason. It was going through the trending list. So it's like Puka's number one. It's like he's the most popular guy. And it's like, okay, let's start off with that. Then we go down the list of saying like, oh, these 3 or 4 guys are bunched together. I like how I like this guy a little bit more than this guy. Therefore, I'm going to throw like 15% of fab on him as opposed to like 10% down here. I'm not necessarily like fading him, but it gave me an easy list of people to just discuss all of them, whether or not I like them. Whereas a normal waiver wire video, you're kind of going through like, these are my top 5 pickups. These are my bottom 5 pickups. These are, whatever, where it's like, I get to discuss everybody holistically, so you get a bigger picture and more context behind it's like
it also feels real. Like if you're looking at it, this is what people are going to do. So they know
they're going through it as well as I am. Like Monday morning, Tuesday morning, I have to set my waivers, right? And it's not like a science. There's not a science to it. You're just like kind of going through and be like, oh fuck, how do I feel about this guy? Should I put $6 more on him as opposed to him? And I'm kind of thinking through the way I would play as a fantasy football player as I'm kind of talking as I'm talking it out. So I think there was just a lot more context that went into the way that I think about these things. And there's a lot of newer players who are like getting into fab for the first time, so they don't know like fab suggestions and stuff like that. And it allowed me, the trending down list also gave me a nice group of players that I can go through quickly and be like, he's a droppable player for me, droppable, rather than having to like compile that list beforehand and maybe like leaving dudes out. And they just did a good job of organizing it for me so that I can kind of have my thoughts in one clear direction, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The takeaway is like make content for the viewer, you know, and this applies to any type of field. And in Nick's playbook for creators, you always talk about if you're a hiking creator, here are the 5 best hiking shoes, and then you go through those, right?
It's like they're asking.
But maybe the takeaway is like, go on someone else's list and break down their list, and then break
down their list,
right?
and consume other pieces of content. And this is something I push back on for so long. I'm also like, when people are like, can you give us timestamps? Can you give us timestamps?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I gave you timestamps, you're basically just reading a blog. If you want to go read a blog, go read a blog. You're just reading a list. But then
they're a video blog now.
The more I think about it, the more I'm like, they're asking for it, they want it. Like if I'm watching another video, I also want that too, because some of these things might not be relevant to me, right? Like half the players on the list maybe aren't available to the players, or aren't available to certain fantasy players in their leagues. They're like, oh, those first 8 guys aren't even available. Let me just skip to the 9th guy who is. And I'm like, that is actually like personalized content for you in a way that, you know, just makes it easier for the viewer, and they appreciate that and they respect that. And I feel like every time I hear a pushback, and most of the pushback is it's not like, oh, this sucks. It's just like, hey, I would really like this. And I'm like, why fight against that?
Yeah, I think of like when someone writes quarterback rankings preseason, like someone at The Ringer writes one, and it's really interesting to me. But, like, I want to see Lamar. I want to see where the top guys are. And then, like, my hot takes on, like, Jordan Love or Ritter. Like, I'll go scroll down. I feel like there's, like, this gatekeeping of content where people assume if you want my opinion, you need to watch the entire thing. And that, as I've been building out YouTube long form, I've come to the realization, like, 99% of people aren't going to watch the entirety of your video. No. So you might as well make it so they at least watch 3 minutes of a 25.
Give them some value somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they appreciate that. And it's like we're in such a quick moving world that it's like, all right, if they don't get their quick hit of value, they're going to move on to somebody else.
Yeah.
So
and
I
think
well be that.
You made a great point. Like, if Allen Robinson is picked up in your league, I can just skip that. Like, I don't need to sit through that. And it makes it much easier.
And that's kind of the way, that's definitely the way that we're thinking about things now, between the content in particular, the timestamps, like all that kind of stuff. And even like the thumbnail right before is another good example of this. Like, I just made a thumbnail for the trade target video that me and JMO are doing, and I put 3 different examples in. The one I thought was the best was the one that got the least amount of votes.
Which one did you like?
The first.
This is in our Discord.
The first Waddle one. Yeah, join the Discord, because I asked for suggestions and stuff like that. The Waddle one where he's like yelling, and I didn't realize it was like that unblurry. And I'm like, I thought it looked kind of cool to the naked eye. And then everybody's like, nah, hell no. Like the third one.
Well, it got voted the most until I think.
No. You said B. I thought A was the best. I liked A the best.
You liked A the best.
I did, yeah.
That's
personally.
what I would have gone with.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I sent it to JMO before I even put it in there. He was like, definitely C. And then I put it into our Discord. I put it into the BDG and the Trivia Discord, and everyone pretty much.
Everyone's on Dotson now.
Everyone went to Dotson, and then we started dissecting it even more and more down. And that was literally from, like, what's the point of me pushing my agenda on a thumbnail when literally the audience is like, no, we'll click on this one more than the one that you like, you know? That's so.
Do you trust a small subset of people
at scale enough? Yeah. When I look at the numbers, and in one of the Discords it was like 3-3-35. I'm like, okay. Like that. Do
you think it's? I didn't read the entirety of it. Do you think it's because Dotson feels more tradable than Jalen Waddle?
I think a lot of it had to do with the setup of the thumbnail as opposed to the actual player itself. I think Dotson was way more clear in the picture, which was an indicator.
That's why I hated the Waddle screaming one, because like
it didn't
just turn a face away from the middle.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Yeah, no, that's fair. See, those are the things I'm like, when I'm so in it, I'm just designing 6 variations. I'm like, oh, this looks good. I can't really tell. And then you guys will point out so clearly, like, spacing's weird here, color's too bright here, that kind of shit that I don't realize when I'm doing it. So it's just more like feedback from the audience, I think. 100%. When you have, like, they want to do it for you. You know what I mean? Like, they want to be helpful in the process. Yeah. So that when they see the video go up later.
I think thumbs are a fun game for people to play. Like, is this one better? Is this one better? And then
when they see it go live, they're like, fuck yeah.
I can't believe YouTube. Wait, didn't they announce A/B testing? Is that still not out yet?
It's slowly rolling out still. Okay.
Because
it said that it should be available by 2024 for everybody, but they're like in beta still.
Because we will change thumbnails, but the math on it is tough. Because if it's run for 48 hours, it's like, well, if this was first, would this have been better? Yeah, I'm excited for A/B testing. On Snap, they have it for the shows, and you can test 4.
Well, Mr. Beast tweeted that out. He was running a couple tests, and he's like, all right, I don't have to like open my mouth wide anymore, because every one of me smiling actually got better watch time. And that's the other thing, though. There's no click-through rate info that we're going to get from the A/B testing. We'll only get watch time.
Got it.
which is weird, but in a weird
There's probably
way,
a strong correlation.
I would imagine.
But it would be better if they could just be like 10.6 and 8.7.
I think it's good intention. I think it's their idea of not trying to like spam people with being like click-through rate is always the best thing for your audience. Like, no.
Right. Although, yeah, that's a fair point. Like, I guess if you do a super clickbaity thumb and it's a 2-minute watch time and then you get a 12-minute watch time, maybe don't use that thumb.
Yeah, 100%. So
I'm sad. Big content. They won. The little guys lost.
Yeah.
I feel like we're finally free from our NDA to talk about Gumption leaving.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Fill the people in on the tragic loss of big media.
Yeah, so one of our interns that we had for the summer, Matt, had taken a full-time job at ESPN, which starts in a couple of weeks. So his internship ended last week or like the Friday before that or something like that. And he came into this internship. We even, like one of our first clips we put out, he had an offer from ESPN to go full-time there prior to even accepting an offer here for the internship. And he was like, originally thought it was going to start at the end of August. So he's like, I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to make this work. And I was like, I'd like to see you be in the office for like a little while, even if it's just a month and a half or whatever. Yeah. And then while he was here, it got pushed back to October. So we got more time. And obviously while he was here, he crushed it. He built like a good personal brand here. People started to get to know him. He had people fucking pulling up on him in real life all the time. Just like it was like a really fun, energizing summer between all the interns here have crushed it so far. Matt did such a good job here that I obviously wanted him to stay. And I offered him a full-time position here at BDGE, and he turned it down and accepted the one at ESPN. And I don't really know necessarily how to feel. Like, I know if I was in his position, I would have stayed here, of course, because knowing what I know now and knowing where I think we're going to go and just all that kind of stuff. It's funny because one of the, not concerns, but one of the things I guess Tony brought up when we brought Matt on was that like he feels more professional than BDG, and he feels like someone who will be in like a more real media space too. And realistically, like his personality, I don't know if that could be further from the truth because he fit in so well here, and he was someone like on camera that just he was just one of the boys. You know what I mean?
I think coming in, I was only in here 1 day a week, so I actually think my outside view is a fair view of who he is. I think he thought of himself as like the more professional side and the less social side, but like in the midst of it, he was very much, part of that. Yeah. Like I would say that Jameson's more corporate than him. Like more. I
think he's just more reserved right now, personality wise. Yeah.
But I think that probably is part to do with it. Like if you're going to go be on screen, be on camera. So anyways, Matt's headed to ESPN. You were pitching him. You were kind of trying to convince him. And I think some of the things you mentioned, personal brand, right? You're going to grow that. My take on it, and Matt's awesome. Like, I think he will crush it at ESPN. My take on the whole thing as a content creator, especially, like you said, you offer him a full-time role here. That ESPN position will be there in 2 years, in 6 months, in a year. And I think that's the part where, there were maybe family pressures, or maybe there's view where it's like, oh, you get to go work for that E company, the big red E. But nowadays you got to move to Bristol. The younger audience, which you're attracting, isn't necessarily as in tune with ESPN. And we always talk about safety. And we've talked about on the show before, like, yes, Matt's going to bring a personal brand, and he's going to bring a lot of different fun experience and gain experience there. But if ESPN does another round of layoffs and the show that he's working on gets cut, where is his security? Obviously, you work at a startup like this, you come into this office and you're like, is it as corporate, as structured, as safe as ESPN? No, but I always say the safety is when you are adding value. And I feel like people would be able to replace Matt or 90% of that work. And here, I mean, no one's replaced Matt yet. Unless your new CTO is. We
had his brother in for an interview.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, we brought him in on his last day because he has a different skill set, different person, obviously. But yeah, I think there were many factors at play when it came to him. The point you made is what I tried to convince him of, but I understand he's young, and I think there were a couple things. Like his family definitely, I think, felt more comfortable with ESPN. Ultimately, though, I think he made the choice. I don't think it was necessarily family pressure. Yeah. I think one of the things that he continuously brought up that I don't know if he knew was as big of a point for him as it really I think it was that his, I don't know what they call in college.
Yeah, advisor or something.
Advisor was the one that he worked really closely with over the years and became like very close with, and was the one that like pulled some strings to get him in the door at ESPN. And I think he felt like he'd be going back on his word if he didn't take it based on that. And my argument was like, if that person cares for you and you believe that this is the better position, they won't really care that much because they like you as a person and they believe it's not done with bad intent. So it's like your life, like you get to make the choice, but also that's a lot of pressure for a 22-year-old to like make that type of choice. 100%. He wanted to get ESPN on his resume, which I don't blame him for. And if there are other factors at play, like, hey, because he's got two homies in Connecticut that they're moving in together, and if it's like, oh, this is our only chance to do it, and that's why I want it, no fucking problem with it. I won't argue with that.
There's beef.
The one thing that he brought up a couple times that I tried to say, like, you're looking at this backwards, is he was like, the ESPN thing is now, like, social media will be here in 2 years. And I'm like, your opportunity, the leverage you're building right now through social will not be here in 2 years. ESPN will be here in 2 years.
It'll be there in 2 years, but you are going to stopgap it for 2 years. I think that's the point.
Both
will be there in 2 years.
The distance that I believe that he could have traveled here in 2 years would be at ESPN. It will be like this. And I also believe that in 2 years, based on where I think we're going, I'd be able to put him anywhere he wanted to. If he even wanted to leave at that time, which I don't think he would have. So in my mindset, like, look, I love Matt and I would love to work with him again. Maybe in 2 years, he's like, the ESPN thing was cool, got on my resume, he comes back here. The only thing is, like, that's not promised. Like, I don't know if there was an open position left for that kind of thing. So that was my big, like, conviction back to him is, like, if the reason that you're actually leaving is because you think getting ESPN on the resume is a big deal, you think that, like, this will be here in 2 years and ESPN won't be, I promise you're looking at that backwards. You know what I mean? Like, that was the point I got across, but there were underlying things, whether it was the friends or the family.
It's not black and white. It's not one thing. No. It's a whole multitude of factors, and he rolled with ESPN. And I will say, there's probably 6 logos in this entire industry that are worth it. ESPN's one of them, so can't fault him for that. And the one big shame, I'll say, there's no way he's going to grow at the scale he would have if he was here. I wish, and I am familiar with a lot of talent at ESPN, or non-talent rather, they don't let them build the personal brand. And so it's not like he's just going to be scaling slower and still doing his thing, creating content. Like, he's going from this to just a full-blown stop.
Yep.
And I think that's a shame.
That's why, like, I genuinely believe Matt could have been, like, a unbelievable personal brand by himself. If he dedicated himself to, like, doing what we're doing and just building his personal brand for the next few years, I think 6-figure following easily by that time. You know what I mean? And then once you give yourself that leverage, like, in my eyes, as weird as it sounds, like, financially you're not, but if you build a platform and you do it correctly, I think you're set for life.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, your own happiness, in terms of you being the one to be able to call the shots and pull the strings in your life and put yourself in position to succeed wherever. Like, obviously, having 200,000 followers on TikTok is not going to set you up for life financially, but it will get you in the door anywhere you want.
Yeah, that 200K followers on TikTok could be as valuable as the ESPN logo in the next year.
Correct. And what that will do is you bring that personal brand, that will get you back in the door to ESPN by yourself, not at an entry-level spot. Yeah. Like, people there will be like, oh, you've done some shit. Like, you no longer, like, if you're there at an entry-level position, you're chipping away for the next 2 years. Like, maybe you move up from here to here, grinding here, personal brand, you probably get in the door up here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of
separates you.
And I don't want to make it feel like I'm shitting on him, because this was a choice that he felt like he had to make. And I think you need to learn these things when you're in your younger 20s to be like, okay.
I was going to say, the one final thing, because, look, I was entrepreneurial in college, coming out of college, and I was like, I want to do my own thing. That was always my dream. But I got good advice, which was like, go be an entrepreneur on other people's dime. Like, go try other things. And what I learned in those 2.5, 3 years at Action Network and then Whistle, like, learning the corporate side and learning the business side, you do gain a ton of value, like, from that.
He'll make great connections too, great relationships there. And we'll learn, professional style production shit that we would never be able to teach him here.
100%. And if that's where he also wanted to go more down that route, like, he's going to gain that. So it's not like it was a good decision or a bad decision. It was, we think that this decision, but we also hate big media. So
I guess like the one regret I would have in, like, trying to push him to get back here is I don't know if I ever felt like I got down to the crux of, like, why he felt like he need, like, but
I don't feel like there was an exact reason. I think it was a multitude of factors, and you don't have to reveal the numbers, obviously, but I think, when you think of ESPN and then you think of BDGE,
I offered him more money to stay here.
That's what I was going to have you mention, is like, it wasn't a money thing.
It wasn't, because even that, I was like, what can I offer you to stay? And he was like, it'd be too big of a number that I feel embarrassed asking you for it. I was like,
that's interesting, though. There was a number, because
It was like there was a number.
Or is he
just in the
just
sake
saying
of,
that?
Right. It was
But,
more
like,
so
if you
like
had-
he was ending the conversation there. Like I'm
you had
going to ESPN.
put it on the table and been like, all right, here you go.
Yeah. I think we both know I wouldn't have.
Right. But if you put that number out there, I think maybe just from a negotiation standpoint, then you probably would have discovered what it was. Because if he's saying, all right, it's this amount of money that would make me get over this, then maybe you uncover that it is that fear of upsetting his advisor, or it is that fear.
Yeah.
So we joked about it, but your off-season versus in-season schedule, right? So
I actually, while we're on like talking about big media,
Yeah.
so we had a thought, right? So we were watching football on Sunday, and I don't remember was it Sunday Night Football. Maybe it was Sunday Night Football. It was some game where there were commercials throughout the game.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there, and it was like, dude, how electric would it be if like it went to commercial break, and rather than like a car company, our trivia popped up there, and like the entire country was just sitting there while we were playing. We were like guessing a list or playing one of those things,
like just for 30, 60 seconds.
Yeah. Well, obviously that's like too short, but we started looking into it. I was like, I wonder how much it would cost to like really air something, because I think it would be like cool as hell.
Did you hit up Underdog?
We didn't hit up anybody because I looked at the numbers on Sunday Night Football, and in order for us to run a 30-second spot on Sunday Night Football, which would be like the perfect plug for us. In order for it was Thursday Night Football, because all eyes were on it. We were so intense and like, oh, football's back, baby. And I was like, oh, it'd be so sick if we just had a boom, like a trivia pop up right there. It was on average, it was between $800,000 and $850,000 to run a 30-second commercial.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking, like, of course, that's an obnoxious price, but I'm like, our expenses as a company to have multiple full-time people for an entire year is like half that.
Yeah.
So basically, Ford or whatever company out there that just paid $850,000 for a 30-second spot on Sunday Night Football could hire all of BDGE for its expenses for 2 full years. You have 6 guys working full-time for you for 2 years making nonstop content, but no, let's make a 30-second commercial. I don't think I realized just how fucked up the media world was until I came to that realization in that point.
There's levels.
Unbelievable.
That's what it is.
Our whole company, for 2 years, you could have us doing anything you wanted, but instead, you'd rather run a 30-second commercial.
Yeah. You should talk to Underdog, because they're spending a lot on commercials. I only know that because I was the star of one. But they are running a lot of...
what of one?
The star.
The star.
They're running commercials, and I don't know. I was talking to Luke, who, if you know Luke, he's on the video design.
Yeah.
He does everything. And we're talking about like shooting a new commercial. And it's interesting because right now...
Because I haven't been reached out to yet.
No,
that's what makes it so
well, I'm going to pitch you for them right now, because mine is like, I don't even remember what it is, but play on underdogfantasy.com,
What if we ran an Underdog trivia as their commercial spot?
That's literally what I'm saying.
Let's ball.
Now, Underdog, because it's direct response and they're trying to get new people on the app, it couldn't be as, chill as you would want it to be. But maybe there is a middle ground.
Does that ruin it though? Some of me feels like it was like one of the commercials we had on the very first big contents, where I was like, what if these commercials only just gave value and went straight brand and didn't try to pitch you at the end of the commercial?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
But I'm saying it's like all or nothing on those, in my opinion.
No, I think there's a middle ground. I really do. My question is, ESPN Monday Night Football had 27 million viewers or whatever.
Sounds like my waiver wire.
I can't remember a single commercial from the game. So outside of Whopper, like that to me is the only commercial that's smashed. But then again, Underdog says like the commercials do drive new people. So I don't know. I think you should at least pitch it, but you do have to find the perfect.
We'd be able to. That's the beautiful thing about what we do is like when it comes to needing to come up with a creative idea.
Yeah,
it's the last thing I'm worried about.
That's
like,
what creators are here for.
If we take an hour-long meeting internally between us, it's like okay, we'll think of something that works perfectly.
Yeah, you'd find the right format.
Yep.
The production value would be heightened. You would need buy-in from Underdog, but it could get good publicity. So I think we should try it, but I don't control. By the way, it doesn't actually cost $800,000. That's what they put out there. That's like if they really filled every slot.
Okay.
Not at a discount. I know.
Also, the production of the commercial itself too, I'm sure, like would get near that range. Either way, though. Yeah. Paying us for 1 year instead of 2 years. You know what I mean? Just like the absurdity of what you can get back if you are not a moron versus like putting one commercial out. Yeah. Just blows my mind. Also, that's one spot, I think, what I looked up. Yeah, not like one spot every Sunday Night Football.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's
unbelievable.
They're hitting a lot of people. There's
These
no doubt
comps,
about
man.
that.
These comps.
In season versus off season schedule. So in the off season, you ideated, you come up with trivia, really move it to YouTube, get things going, a lot of planning going on. Now you're in that in season schedule, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're booked up, you got the same content going every day. Where do you see the benefits and then also maybe the negatives to when you're in season? This applies to fantasy football careers, but most categories have in season versus off season. Do you like the not mundane, but the consistency and knowing what you got to do, or do you prefer the summer and the creativity?
I am not enjoying the in season so far. I know we're in week 1, but normally I'm like kind of dreading going forward, which I'm not at that point right now. But I so prefer the off season stuff. It just there's just so much room for flexibility and creativity. And in season, our schedule. What I've done like personally now is I've almost exclusively blocked off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from my calendar, because what I've realized is like, okay, I have a live stream on Mondays at like 1 o'clock, right? And you might think, okay, just box off 1 to 2 p.m. for that live stream. It's like, no, I box it off from 8 a.m. all the way through 2 p.m. because I'm like research, prep, making the thumbnail, making sure I'm like ready to go for it prior to, hitting the fucking stage, basically. So I block all that off. And then I'm like, all right, I need to have a video off for waiver wire Tuesday morning, which means right after that, I need to block out the next few hours. And I need like decompression time between filming and stuff. And I also need time to like, if something random goes wrong throughout the day, a half hour here or there to fix it. So I blocked off almost 8 to 5, 8 to 6 every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because what I found was like, if I left little slivers of it and then people wanted to get on a call or whatever, I'd send them like my Calendly link and they'd find like the 15 minutes within that. And I'm like, fuck, like I don't have time to like switch my brain set right now to like get onto that. So it's really, I'm so focused on research, filming, prepping, research, filming, thumbnail kind of shit. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's like the only thing I have on my calendar now. And that gives me nice ease because it's not like switching to a million different things. It does take a little bit of the creativity out of it, but I find like it's still easy to stay in creative mode if you're not moving from like project to other project to other project to like accounting to finance, whatever. Now I have like half-hour buckets on like Thursday or Friday where I'm like answer emails, do other like random shit, like accounting things that you need to catch up on. I have like blocked off periods of that. So I guess in season, what I haven't done is good period blocking of fixing out the schedule where the off season's super creative. And I do think, honestly, my like lifestyle has changed over the last like year or so. Like I've really bought into like what I'm doing and focusing all of my effort on what we're doing here. And that's helped me tremendously because I sleep like a million times better than when we first started off this podcast. I'm like in a role right now, which has sacrificed, like, which has taken a lot out of my personal life or like my social life, I should say. Like very rarely go out and like drink and like party anymore. Still will from time to time, but like last priority of mine. You know, if I'm like I got work to do Saturday, Sunday, whatever, I'm not going out Friday night. I'm not going out Saturday night. And I feel great. Like I feel really, really good, and I feel like dialed in, and I feel locked in, and I feel like we're getting on such a roll, and we have so much momentum right now that I'm like, I don't want to look back and be like, yeah, you really just wanted to go out like 4 nights and you kind of like fucked up the momentum for the entire season. As crazy as that sound, I feel like so pinned in right now. You know what I mean?
No, I feel you. The going out in Alabama for 2 straight nights, like living like a college kid again. Now, that was a leisure trip for me. Obviously created content while I was there, but the goal was like, all right, I'm going with my friends. I want to be young again, young and alive. But it throws you off. Like, you're just tired. You're always catching up. You go out till 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday night, and you're drinking and drinking and drinking. We don't drink on the road on Thursday nights. Like, we don't really... Yeah, I've put that side of me. I have like very little interest in drinking.
Me too.
I'll say this. I have zero interest in drinking. When I get into a social situation and people are drinking, like if we're going out, sure, I'll drink them. But like I'm not aspiring to go out and drink.
Me either.
Like
I don't look at weekends the way that I think a lot of people do. Like weekends for me are not, they're not really anything. They're not like, oh, it's Friday, Saturday, let's go. It's just like, okay, office, like back in the office, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's kind of the way I look at things. I don't know. Well, with your schedule though, like what's your main focus right now in season? It's the podcast and the Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
Those two.
Yeah. And
how are you finding like the travel? Do you wish you had more time to just like sit down and focus on those 2 things? Because like for me, I can never do that schedule.
Yeah,
like, I can never.
Well, last week was a little insane. Like we went to Kansas City. I threw out the first pitch. They're still looking for it. It's in the White Sox dugout.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. I was like, we have so much to talk about that I don't have time to joke around today.
Wednesday we just did work, did content, and then Thursday the game. Friday flew to Alabama. Connection. It was like an all-day thing. That kind of sucked. That's rare for us though. Normally it's pretty direct, easy flights. Saturday all day at the game. Sunday flew to Baltimore. Went to the Ravens game, watched the rest of the games. Monday, did the podcast, trained up. So this is the first real week of work, and it's going to be interesting. Last year, we went to every Monday night game. So we'd leave Sunday night or Monday morning. We'd do it. We'd get back Tuesday. You had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like you had the whole week. Now with the podcast, I just think of it as a blocked off day. Same thing. I'm gone from 8:30 to 6:30. That's it. Tuesday, Wednesday working. Now it's going to be interesting because Tuesday, Wednesday are my work days. Thursday, and I got to see what I can accomplish on Friday. But now I'm going to have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'll probably utilize them more for working and getting.
I was going to say, yeah, because the traveling stuff, if I miss like 1 or 2 days of solid sit down, like prep for the next piece of content, I'm shot.
I don't really need that.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like you will soon.
No, because when we take the train down to Baltimore, that's our 3-hour block to prep and produce the podcast.
So you don't feel any pull throughout the week of being like, damn, I wish I had a little bit more time to do this.
I don't know
thing.
yet, just because this is the first week. Tuesday, we have a meeting with our YouTube consultant who I want to talk about. And so I know that time is dedicated to making sure we're talking about last week's stuff and going forward and strategizing for next week. So it's not like we're just landing on Thursday and being like, all right, what are we doing this week? Like that is our prep time. That's been scheduled. And then the rest of the week is just catching up. I'll probably take a ton less calls. I'm getting much better at just being like, hey, email me, text me. I don't need a 30-minute call with you.
Yeah. Or I would really suggest like looking holistically, you make the time. Like you're like, okay, I'll take calls for 1 hour on Friday. If you can't get into that slot, we can't take a call this week. You know what I mean?
No, maybe Friday's the call day.
Yeah.
Everything is going to change. Like I'm going to have to talk to you about moving this a couple times if we got to leave early and went like to get to Lambeau. It's a nightmare, stuff like that. But consistency is good. It's ironic. Your consistency is much more consistent than my consistency in the season, but we know.
That's why your schedule gives me fucking anxiety. Dude.
Yeah,
like
I'm sure it does. It's not for everyone. Yeah. It genuinely is not. And unless you go to that place where you're like, I'm coming home, I unpack my bag, I do the laundry, I get back on my regiment. Like, if you don't do that, you're screwed. Because then you're living out of a suitcase for the next 5 months, which, it got to Casey last year, 100%. Yeah. Like, it just wasn't, I have a different way of thinking. And that's
built different, brother.
Thank you for saying that. So, we signed on with a YouTube consultant.
Is the one you brought up a few months ago?
No, it's someone else, actually, that we landed on. Someone that I'm more excited about. And we put our first video live, and it's got 240 views on YouTube. And the whole point of
for the Marlin podcast or for SnapBack?
For SnapBack.
Okay.
It's for SnapBack Thursdays, but he'll help us kind of across the SnapBack portfolio. Got 240 views. I decided to not promote it. Like normally we externally promote on Snap. It'll give it, 300, 400, 500 extra gassed up views. But I was like, let's see the raw numbers of this thing, right? Let's see because the thumb works, the title works, the intro works, the segments work. Like it is a full-blown YouTube video that someone who knows YouTube very, very well advised us on, consulted us on. And so we got to give it more time. Like we got to give it week 2, week 3, week 4. But after just 1 week, we had someone in the big content Discord.
I saw that. I figured we'd bring it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll up real quick, but we talked about your thumbnail for too long. I just want to give Steve Bradshaw, FF. Do you know him, Steve?
Yeah, I know him from being in the community for a while.
So Steve said, just want to put this out there. I think you should create a new YouTube channel for SnapBack. Shorts popularity has messed up a lot of channels. There's no way that your Thursday Night Football video should have under 1,000 views. Great content, title, and video. These videos going up deserve to have more views.
Yeah, I saw that and I agreed immediately. I was like, it's probably time.
Yeah. And so this is the tricky thing. Do we do it now because it's week 1? Right. And it's like, it would be really nice to be able to just because all these videos are going to build off each other. The concept that we're going with, they're going to be evergreen, but we're going to build off like we spent this much and we're going to track. And it's going to be interesting to people of like, all right, this game costs $1,000 and they rated it this and they had this experience. Every video is can stand alone, can live by itself, but also is like a series. And we looked at Ryan Trahan's like Penny series as inspiration for that. So my feeling is like, all right, do we just shut down the channel or change it to shorts and start now that it's week 1? Or do we give it 4 weeks as kind of we initially planned and say, maybe the algorithm just needs a little time of consistency by doing the same thing over and over again because we've been inconsistent, but then we're starting week 4 and it doesn't build off itself. So that's my only dilemma. We're going to talk with Trent again on Tuesday. So
Trent, the consultant.
It'll be after week 2, but I think you can still, it's only 2 of 17. So, there's ways to reconcile, but that is my gut, is like, especially seeing Punchline where we had 1,000 subscribers and it just shows it to the right people. And I think the biggest takeaway from Punchline has been our full length episodes pop. It's the purple thumb and people know it's the full length.
And then you have the shorter clips. And I was going to ask you about that.
And the clips aren't doing as well. We've changed up the thumbnail and they're performing better. Okay. It doesn't affect the long form ones. Okay. So I'm like, YouTube knows what to do.
So I was actually, since the trivia channel, we've kind of hit like a stalemate on growth in terms of subscribers. Yeah. The views, all the metrics.
Your floor's still super high, but
metrics are still, we're making a fuckload of money off of it because the average watch time is so long. So everything is going great right now. It's like sustaining itself for sure. But the growth in terms of, just organically has kind of clipped off a little bit. What we have done is starting to integrate, like we moved our vlogs over from the fantasy channel to the trivia channel every Sunday. And we've experimented with a few different other types of videos that aren't like related to trivia a little bit. And those we've seen a little bit of a decline in terms of like viewership and average watch through. Yeah. And my thought is like, do we even put these other like experimental videos up on this channel or just keep ripping the way it is and keep it super niche? But I guess I haven't necessarily noticed a dip off in the other types of performances.
That's the thing.
There's like I don't know. It's really hard because it was so hot at the beginning. We did have some videos that are like up to like 65, 70,000 videos. And I'm like, okay, we don't get those anymore. Mm-hmm. But every video pretty much like settles in at like 30K with 20% click-through rate, 20-minute watch time. It's just like beautiful. And I'm like, all right, do those other videos not affect it? Or have they taken the ceiling down a little bit?
Maybe. That I don't know yet. But I do know that I find it massively impressive from YouTube that like when they know a full length is going out, they push it to those people and the algorithm responds accordingly.
So let me ask you, why did you choose this second consultant over the first one? You seemed excited about the first one.
Yeah, the first one I was excited about because he was making his own content. I thought his content was good and he was going to do X, Y, and Z. And then I think you said it. You were like, why don't you actually go look around? And then we looked at another consultant, and his was more like a strategy, less hands-on work. And we want that hands-on work. We want feedback. We want advice. We want strategy, all that stuff. And then I got connected with this guy through a friend, and he just really knows the space. And so it was kind of like a hot lead or a warm introduction. And so just felt comfortable with him. Going into football season, we knew we were going to be consistent. We knew the content was going to be good. We knew that the short form content actually performed very well. Got like 45,000 views on TikTok. Another video did 10K, like on an account that was getting 300 views for some bad content. To me, it's like paying a personal trainer. Like, I know what to do. We know the workouts. But when you pay the personal trainer, you're going to show up for that workout. You're going to work out probably twice as hard. He's going to hold you accountable. They're going to, work you harder. Yeah. They know, because you can study the best tricep workouts, but they know because they are trained in this, right? So that's how I think about it. And
there also is there's always that hint of personal help there too.
Yeah.
So it is knowing like they're keep you in structure, but you also know that this person has way more experience than you. So when they see something that feels out of structure, they know how to like make sure you pivot correctly.
100%. And so it was like, all right, we're going to be consistent and do this for 5 months. Like, let's get help. And I think at the end of the day, I don't want to say it's like a taking responsibility thing, but if someone else makes the decision for you, sometimes that's what people need. They need that push to be like, yo, I know YouTube, you need to start a new channel. If he says that on Tuesday, it's like, all right, we're doing that.
Have you not had this conversation with him?
We've told him, like, we gave him all the background, and we know, but he's like, yeah, let's just test it. Let's see what the main channel is like, because if YouTube finally does fix itself or figures it out, like, it will be much better if you're starting with 600,000 subscribers and they feed it to the right people. So Yeah, that's I would be excited about starting a new channel, but I don't know if we like.
So you're waiting for your call with him on Tuesday to really figure out
to at least start the conversation. If his advice is like, let's give it a whole month to make sure that, you know, the algorithm isn't going to figure out who to send this to, I would be fine with that too. But yeah, we're definitely leaning in that direction.
Okay, cool.
What else do I have? That's it. I mean, unless you want to talk about your big hire to close it out.
Yeah, I'm down. So we brought on our new CTO, which is a chief technology officer. It's easily and by far and away the most like serious position we've ever brought on.
Yeah.
It's like a fellow executive position, which is nice for me because I'm always, you know, hanging around 22, 23-year-olds who are mostly new to a workforce, and this is not a typical workforce to be integrated into, you know? So I have someone that's like at my level that has a ton of professional experience. More importantly, is filling a gap that I desperately need help with, and that's the tech product side of things, because we have so many ideas and we have so much content. We have the distribution. I've talked about this, you know, a million times already, but I truly think like business breaks down to so simple. It's so simple. It's two things. It's literally distribution and product. We have distribution. We have distribution at scale. We have distribution whenever we want it, however we want it, basically. And it's like to take the next step. And I think this will be exponential for us, where we go from like to fucking revenue profit, like is out the door, which will allow us to grow if we want to, you know? So my good friend JL, who I met probably 3-4 years ago, and we had never really like talked that seriously about this happening, but we got along really, really well just in talking about life and business and product and, you know, just a lot of the conversation that we have like on these types of talks. And he just also happens to have the skills that I need within my business. So we're in a financially secure enough spot where I'm like, all right, I'm ready to make like a big fucking investment into this person or someone who could fill the role. And I was like, who better? Because I trust him as a person, even if he was not within our business. And that's what I need mostly, because the hardest thing for me by far has always been trying to deal with like developers, and not because I necessarily think they're like shady people, but I don't speak their language. Right. So I need like very hard to find facts, deadlines, what you're capable of, what you're not capable of. And I've always found that really difficult because they're also like visionary people too. They're like, yeah, I can get this done within a couple of weeks. Never is the case.
Yeah.
And I'm so upfront with this that like, I'm okay if you can't get something done, but if you're a poor communicator with me, that's where the problem lies. So if I trust you as a person, I know you're going to communicate with me. If it's like, hey, JL, this project needs to be done in 2 months. Tell me whether or not you're capable of it. And if the answer is no, I trust you to find the right people to put them in place to make this shit happen within the 2 months. And that for me frees up, like, it's not like, oh, I'm freeing up time because someone's editing shit for me. It's like, no, you're like building something huge for our company that will return itself, you know, exponentially, I think, in the long run. So this is a negotiation that went on for borderline 3-4 months because he has, most of the negotiation stalled because he had a handful of different personal things in his life happen that I won't really like put on air, but just personal shit that, you know, is super unfortunate for him. So it just took a long time to drag out because we're friends first. So I was like, I need you to like make sure you have enough time. You're not feeling like you're making a rash decision right now based on this, because again, there will be some sort of combativeness if down the line you made a decision based on something that wasn't clear to you. You know what I mean? So I was like, you need all the time you want. Took months. It's a big financial investment. He has equity in the company now. Like it's ride or die at this point. You know what I mean? His first day was on Monday. So we talk, you know, every day about the products we're building out and what we want to do long term. So yeah, it's really, really exciting. A bit overwhelming now because I'm like ready to put the pedal to the metal, and I felt like I've been ready for it for years, you know, but never tangibly like push towards this becoming a reality. And it was like once I made my mind up, I was like, I want to make this happen. I just like called him up and I was like, we're going to work together. Like, what do you need to make this happen? Because I'm ready to offer it to you. And that's where like the negotiation started, and it went for months, you know? So I am, I don't even want to say I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm just fucking excited for it, dude.
That's great. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. It's exciting. There's a lot of pressure. I feel like pressure comes from, I mean, people always say if you're not prepared, that's when you're going to feel pressure. But if you make a huge investment, it's like, oh, there's a lot of pressure that this goes well, this goes right. If you know in your heart of hearts that it's going to go well and it's going to go right,
it's more of the expectations. The pressure for me comes from like, I already know like 5 things I want done now. Let's get this shit done, you know? So it's more. It's
just you putting pressure on him.
Correct. 100%. At this point, it's almost like it's just like a hose of water shooting to the front of it, but it's been like holed off. Yeah. And now I'm like ready to open the seal, so it's gonna come shooting. Yeah, which he's gonna be like, you gotta calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Within like 1
he'll
week.
communicate to you.
He's also down in Baltimore, so part of our contract is like so he's working remotely, but I'm like, you need to be in New York at least once a month for an extended period of time, so we can get face-to-face time, you with the team and everybody. So one of the things I want to do also is like building out the product. Again, I don't want this to just be a reflection of me and what I think is right, because they have great ideas too, and I want them to feel free to work and talk to JL about the way they see things playing out, right? And I think this is another way for them to get their hands really invested into our company and seeing something that they built from nothing to real life, and that's something I've always.
Can you share what the first product?
So the very first thing we're doing right now is our in-season membership, which is like a weekly membership, is something that we had last year, but because our developer left like May 1st was his last day or something like that, I've been in flux trying to, because I thought JL was going to be on the team like June 1st or some shit like that, but it went into the season now. So the very first thing is like people who are paying for an in-season membership need to be delivered upon what they are promised. Gotcha. So first thing is like redesigning the website to make sure that they have everything they need for the in-season stuff. And we both kind of came to the conclusion that once we have that down, like the foundation of that, then we can get creative and start to like build upon. But what we want to do long term is our entire business model turn into one monthly subscription. So no one-off products anymore. One-off subscription that is all-encompassing, that is useful year-round. And with that, it like simplifies our business, in my opinion, and it gives us so many directions and legs to work off of. It's like rewarding the people. If it's simple, right? It's like you're paying this price once a month, or a discounted price for the year. You can lock yourself in for a year.
Are you sure that's right, though?
It feels very right, yeah.
Because we talked about at the beginning, right? Like, sometimes people don't want to watch the entire thing, and they like picking apart. Obviously, there's different...
Well, all of the one-time products will be in the membership.
Yeah.
So I would even say, like, even if they only wanted the season-long guide, which usually costs them like...
But won't it be priced that you're including a lot of things? It'll be discounted. So like, let's say you had 10 products and normally they're $10 a month. Like, it's not going to be $100 a month. It'll be 50. But if someone just wanted 2 of those products originally, it would have been 20.
Right. So the way I'm looking at it is we're not sure on the price yet. It might be. I don't imagine it being more than like, I don't know if I should put this on record, but between $10 and $15 a month. Yeah. And our product right now, if you're getting the season-long guide, is like $25, $30.
Yeah.
So even if you wanted to like game us and buy it at the end of August for 1 month, you have access to all the tools. Our hoping is that like you get into the membership and you want to stay in it throughout. You know what I mean? Like you want to stay in it through the in-season to get all the stuff we offer then, and then the off-season when what I want to do is really like gamify everything. It's like reward the people who are there for the longest, reward people who are there for, you know, XYZ, whatever it is, you know, and make like Discord a really big part of what we're doing in terms of like community and engagement, and bring on someone that can like run that effectively pretty much. But there's so many ideas. Obviously we have to take it day by day because you can't move that quickly, unfortunately. But overall, I'm just really excited to be able to present something I'm super proud of, you know, being like, we built this. Like, I'm so sure that if you get your hands on it, you're not going to want to leave it. Yeah. So that's where we're at.
All right.
Girl.
That's all we got. NFL Week 1 in the books.
What
Big
day is it?
content.
Wednesday?
Yes.
1 o'clock. Feels like 6 o'clock.
I know.
Day's been long already.
No, it hasn't.
Sheesh.
We're in such different schedules.
What time? How early you get up?
8 in the gym by 8:30. Eat breakfast 10:30. Like showered by 11.
What do you eat for breakfast?
Eggs, sausage, protein shake. I'm trying to get like Rudman. I want to be like a OLP.
Damn.
Yeah.
So me. The first thing I said to you today is like, you've been eating. You look skinny.
No, because
that hit you hard.
No, it didn't hit me hard because I was in a leaner shape for basketball. Like I was more cardio and stuff like that. But now it's bulking season.
So you're just in different shapes, just based on like 2 week
like
periods.
I'm a chameleon. I like.
How'd that work? How'd that go? The basketball, did you win?
No, we lost in the semis.
Why? What went wrong? Put your coaching hat on.
No, I mean, I got in foul trouble, so I switched off their best player and then started guarding the point guard to, like, shut down the offense, and then their best player got pretty hot. They ended up winning the tournament. Worst part, though, is I turned my ankle with, like, 30 seconds left on his ankle. Damn. And then I turned it again at the Chiefs game, just, like, walking, and it hurts.
So you should be in a boot right now.
Yeah, but it's bulking season, so I can't.
I mean, you just don't do legs. It's fine. Bulk up top.
Imagine not doing
bulk up top.
You can't pass rush with a weak base. So
What are you pass rushing
I'm
on?
trying to look like an outside linebacker in case the Ravens need some help.
Be a zone
down the
coverage guy.
stretch.
Be a zone coverage
No,
guy.
I'm getting to the passer.
How about the Falcons? 2 touchdown win.
Yep, Desmond Ridder almost threw for 100 yards, man.
It was over 100.
Nice.
I hope.
So
Yeah, we're not in a good place. Whatever. That wasn't on though. That could have been a disaster.
no, I would have checked it
I
because
just don't believe you
I
for a
was
second.
checking. I can see that's on, and then
That's why I flipped that up. Yeah.
I would have scanned down and been like, "Yeah."
I think you would have
turn
seen green and been like, green light.
No,
we're good to go.
I actually utilized one of these.
You're a Potter now. You're a full
podcaster.
full-time pod god.
Yeah.
How you feeling? You've been traveling a lot.
Good. It was a good week. Crazy week. But all good. Love this shit. This
You
is
trying
what
to
we
convince
do.
me or you
This
yourself?
is what we do. Nah, it's cool. Sorry, I cut you off there.
What do you mean?
I heard you loading.
Oh no, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah,
I was,
I've run the tape back. You were. I
Didn't
heard it
even-
I heard it in my ear.
didn't
It
even
was-
cross my mind yet.
All right, then you.
I was
need
taking a breath.
You have asthma.
I was
Yeah,
having to
you
take
need
deep breaths.
that.
I'm so excited about things.